Hello, I'm here today in my kitchen because we're talking about kitchens. I'm also clipping my tiny mic to my shirt for a change, so everyone that's been really bothered by me holding my mic, this one's for you. This is still my sublet kitchen. We're moving next week, and trust me, the first video I post after we move, you guys will definitely know. I won't just start subtly filming in like a new apartment. Okay, so the reason I'm in my kitchen today is because it's on topic. I want to talk about kitchen design, kitchen renovations, and all of my hot takes on kitchens. I realize it's probably a really small percentage of my viewers that are anticipating a kitchen renovation in the near future, but I don't know, I feel like for people that are interested in interior design, this is a fun topic to talk about, right? So let's get into it. So first things first, I want to talk about the space plan of a kitchen. The traditional rule of thumb is to base the layout of your kitchen around the kitchen work triangle. Most designers and architects sort of use this as a guideline. Basically, it's the idea that your sink, your cooktop, and your fridge should be in a triangle and be relatively equal distances from one another. So these three elements are spaced out, but also not too far. This does generally make for a pretty smooth and comfortable workflow in a kitchen. I just realized I'm probably gonna have to draw up a lot of diagrams to better communicate what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'll do that. You're probably looking at them right now. The thing about a kitchen work triangle is it's obviously not always possible. There are so many kitchens that present these unusual parameters that you need to work around in your space plan. And also a lot of kitchens just don't have the luxury of space, especially nowadays. There are so many kitchens that are entirely arranged along one wall. So while the kitchen work triangle is a good guideline, I think what's more important is to think about what those three elements, the sink, the cooktop, and the fridge, need to have around them. For the sink, it's really important to have adjacent counter space. Your trash shouldn't be too far away. And ideally, if you have a dishwasher, it should be right next to you. It sounds so obvious, but there's actually a lot of kitchens that don't account for this. Also, bonus points if when your dishwasher is open, it doesn't obstruct any sort of path of travel. For the cooktop, we definitely want ample counter space on either side of it, as well as drawers to hold like utensils or spices or anything that you might need handy while you're actually cooking. I once lived in an apartment with roommates where the stove was all the way up against the wall on one side, and on the other side there was just like a few inches to the edge of the sink, and it was an absolute nightmare. Like, please don't do that. And for your fridge, you definitely want a good amount of counter space within a comfortable distance. I feel like a lot of people don't think about the fact that when you're getting things out of the fridge, you need a place to put them. So we definitely want open surface space right next to the fridge. In general, refrigerators are the most like dominating and imposing piece of the kitchen, right? So if you're working with a small kitchen, it's generally a good idea to locate your fridge at the end of the kitchen. And if you're working with a larger kitchen, it can be nice to group your full height elements onto one wall. That's things like your fridge and freezer, your pantry, maybe built-in ovens, maybe an appliance garage, things that need to be above counter height, essentially. And wherever your fridge is located, make sure that the door swings the correct way so that it's opening up to the kitchen and not away from the kitchen. Or even worse, that the door doesn't open up like right against a wall. I've also lived in multiple apartments that have that sort of situation, which is really tough. And talking about these sort of space plan guidelines brings me really smoothly into something that I really want to highlight, which is corners in kitchens. I really dislike corners in kitchens. If you're designing a kitchen from scratch, I would really encourage you to try to avoid a corner where two cabinets meet. I used to work at an architecture firm where I would design like corporate interiors, like mainly tech offices, which I really didn't like, by the way. I just care so much more about residential design and homes in general. But anyway, I was working on designing a kitchen for a co-working office, and we were working with a really tricky space plan. It took us a really long time to like solve the puzzle of the kitchen layout, but my boss was a really talented architect and we were sitting on it together trying to solve it, and I started to like draft up a kitchen with a corner, and it was so funny. He was like, no, don't do it, and like started shaking me, and I totally agreed with him. I just was so fed up with working on this kitchen layout for like hours and hours on end. Anyway, in the end we solved it with no corner kitchen, but I want to explain why I think they're so bad. First of all is the storage under a corner. I feel like in every home that has one of these, that cabinet just becomes like a catch-all for miscellaneous, unwanted things, because it's always pretty uncomfortable to access and you don't want to be using it frequently, right? And almost all of the hardware or products that are trying to make the corner cabinet feel more accessible with like a lazy Susan or some sort of pull-out, it just never really feels finely designed to me. It feels pretty like gimmicky. I just really think there's a better way to work with our space. Also, the actual surface area above the corner, like the countertop, it doesn't really function as a work surface. I mean, try to imagine somebody like chopping vegetables in the corner of a kitchen. Like, it's a surface area that doesn't really work as a prep space. I think that's why we see a lot of people putting like decor items or random appliances in the corner of their countertop, because I think we all just kind of understand that it's actually wasted surface area. Also, if on either side of the corner you need to have like an oven or a dishwasher or drawers, something that opens out, then you run into this terrible situation where you can't open two things at once. And it's just really impractical. If you're working with a kitchen that absolutely has to have like a corner where the cabinetry meets, I think the very least you can do to make use of your space is to have your tall elements on one wall, like your fridge, your pantry, and all of your tall elements. And then on the other wall to have counter height elements. And that creates a situation where you can address the corner more creatively and ideally gain some storage above the counter height. Kitchen corners don't just waste storage below the countertop and above the countertop, but they also take away floor space. So they're not really giving much, but they're taking a lot away. Like, if you're working with a relatively narrow kitchen, it's so much better to just have all of your elements along two walls rather than designing like a U space. The space will feel bigger. All of your countertop will actually be usable prep space, and there will be way more floor space that you can actually occupy. It's just better, like, on all counts. Basically, I think corners in kitchens cause more problems than they solve. If you're building a new home and you have a lot of flexibility, you could consider locating like a window or a door or a corridor like in the corner between where the cabinets should meet, and that'll kind of free up space so you can use the full extent of the kitchen. I hope that makes sense. Maybe these images and diagrams will help. Also, I think a lot of people think they can solve the issue of a corner cabinet with a 45-degree angle. I really dislike 45-degree angles, not just in kitchens, but in any element of space planning. When I look at a floor plan and I see 45-degree angles, it feels like a band-aid that somebody used to fix a bad space plan, and it necessarily creates this like triangular void that's never good. So I really advise you to try to avoid corners and avoid 45-degree angles in your kitchens. I could definitely go on talking about this specifically for a very long time, but I want to take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of today's video. So I've received a lot of questions about what softwares I like to use for design projects, and if you haven't heard of it, I really recommend checking out Milanote, which is an online software that's entirely free, which is so cool. What I think is super great about Milanote is that it's one central place where you can collect and organize and visualize all of your design ideas. This is a board that I recently put together for a kitchen renovation. I think that seeing all of your design elements in one place is incredibly helpful for visualizing your materials, color palettes, and really just the general design language of a project. It's all very tidy, nothing gets lost. Here I've saved like look and feel inspirations, product references. You can even mark up the boards, which is so helpful. And the best part, in my opinion, is how easy it is to share these boards. It's the perfect way to communicate your visual ideas with a client or a friend or whoever. And Milanote has a super great app too, so anybody you share the board with can pull it up when they're out on the go and they need a visual reference. So thank you to Milanote for sponsoring today's video, and seriously, if you haven't checked them out before, go do that. I'll put the link down in the description. Okay, bye. Okay, and in the spirit of talking about efficiency, I want to talk about what we're doing with our actual cabinets. I feel like this has been catching on in recent years, which makes me really happy, and that is using drawers over doors. Like, I feel like most kitchens that I can remember from when I was young mainly made use of cabinets with maybe a few sections of drawers. And that's definitely still primarily true in builder grade kitchens. But more and more I'm seeing renovated kitchens make use of as many drawers as possible, which is just so much better. This is obviously just because you can really easily reach the back of your cabinetry when you pull it out in a drawer. And it's just so much more comfortable to access anything you're storing when you're looking down at a drawer, as opposed to like getting down to look into a cabinet horizontally. When you have drawers, there's no like back of the cabinet that's inaccessible. It's honestly amazing how much more you can store in drawers, which is really nice because it puts a lot less pressure on the upper cabinets, which is the next thing I want to talk about. In general, upper cabinets, regardless of their color or material, can make a kitchen feel pretty like heavy and closed in. As a general rule of thumb, I like to minimize upper cabinets as much as possible, and limiting them to just one wall of your kitchen can go a really long way in making your space just feel much more open and light and airy. I also want to slip in here what's apparently a very hot take on the interior design corner of the internet, and that is that I don't hate open shelving. I actually really like it a lot of the time. We have it here in our sublet, as you can see. I feel like there's a few things that interior design creators all just collectively decided to hate. Things like the cloud sofa or gray flooring and apparently open shelving. A lot of people say that open shelving looks really messy and that your dishes get dusty. I've lived in multiple homes that have open shelving and that's never really been a problem for me. I feel like dust would only be a problem if you're like not using your dishes. Like the dishes that I have out here, I use really often. I'm cycling them through the dishwasher like really frequently. I guess I wouldn't have like occasional dishes out on display, but I really love everything that I have on this shelf. I brought these things here to Copenhagen with me and they really make my space feel like home, and I feel like it's really nice to be able to see them all the time. It brings me a lot of joy. I will say that I don't love open shelving when it's really deep. Like if it's the depth of a standard upper cabinet, which is 12 inches or 30 centimeters, that's really quite deep and you end up having many layers of dishes. Like there's a back of the shelf. I think open shelves are a lot nicer when they're almost half of that. I think that this shelf is probably around like 7 inches. And what that does is create a condition where your shelf is basically like one dish deep. And so there's nothing behind your dishes. So your things end up being on display in a really nice way and it's not as like cluttered or messy. Okay, there are two more things I want to talk about, and those are materials and lighting. So in general, in most homes, the kitchen and the bathrooms are going to have the highest number of like hard materials, right? We're not talking about like the upholstery of a sofa or the color of a lamp or things like that that are easily changed out. The materials in your kitchen are much more permanent, so ideally they'll stand the test of time. At minimum, you're working with your wall color, your floor material, your cabinetry material, your countertops, and probably some sort of backsplash. So it's really important to make sure that these are all cohesive. If you're renovating your kitchen and you feel like you're struggling with material selections, I really recommend going to Pinterest, finding some images that you feel like have cohesive material palettes, and really just using that as a reference for your choices. That being said, the most common mistake that I see with kitchen materials is when people are working with wood cabinetry and wood flooring. It's very important that these two wood tones will complement one another and work together and not compete or clash with one another. So I really advise against trying to match the wood tone of your cabinets to your floors, because chances are they won't be a match. And when there's a subtle difference between the color of wood tones, the difference becomes very dramatic and very heightened. So maybe one ends up looking like more yellow or more pink, and it just usually looks like a mistake. And while we're talking about kitchen materials, I want to drop another very hot take that I find surprises a lot of people when I say this. And that is that I don't think quartz countertops are inherently bad. You guys know that I'm very committed to authentic materials, but I think a lot of people confuse that with being committed to organic materials. I think that artificial man-made materials can be really great as long as they're not mimicking a natural material. For those of you that don't know, quartz is basically an engineered stone, not a natural stone. So instead of being an actual slab of like granite or marble or something, quartz is actually created by combining natural stone aggregate, usually around like 90%, I think, with resin and other chemicals to create a more durable, more affordable countertop. So I think that when quartz is created to mimic a natural stone, this is in really bad taste and I would never choose that, but it's entirely possible for quartz to look like quartz. And I think that's totally cool in my book. Just like I think other artificial materials like vinyl or acrylic or fiberglass are all great as long as they're not pretending to be something else. All that being said, from the viewpoint of authenticity, I do understand that the manufacturing process of quartz is really harmful for the workers that are actually creating the engineered stone. I believe that Australia actually recently entirely banned engineered stone because of the health risks for the workers. Candidly, I don't entirely understand whether it is possible to create quartz in an ethical, safe way or not. From what I've read, it seems like it might not be. So quartz definitely might not be the right choice for that reason. But from like a conceptual design standpoint, I think that engineered stone, when it's not presenting itself as natural stone, is totally fine. I've noticed that a lot of people confuse my ideas around authentic materials with organic materials. And authentic does not necessarily mean organic or natural. Okay, and finally I want to talk about lighting in kitchens. I don't have all that much to say here, but everything that I said in my lighting video applies. So if you haven't seen that, go watch it. I think the most important thing with lighting in a kitchen is to be certain that you have fixtures that can provide task lighting when you need it. A lot of my consultation clients are working with lamps like this in their kitchen. And while I think it's definitely nice to bring ambient lighting options into a kitchen for the evening or when you're entertaining, we definitely need the ability to have proper task lighting in a kitchen while we're cooking. It's not always fun to cook in the dark. So I would definitely be sure to incorporate fixtures that look like these and not just lamps that give like a very soft glow, if you know what I mean. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is pendants over a kitchen island. These are not totally necessary. I feel like a lot of people have it in their head that you have to have pendants over an island. And while they can be very cool and very beautiful, they're definitely not necessary in every kitchen, and especially not in smaller kitchens. I have a lot more to say about kitchens, but I think I'll cut it there for now because we touched on a lot of different things. Yeah, I hope this was interesting. Even if you're not renovating a kitchen, I think it's fun to think about. At least for me, it is. And yeah, we're packing up our place here. So the move is coming up. I'm really, really excited to share our new space with you guys. It's gonna be really good. And yeah, I'm gonna try to post this on Thursday, I think. Let's see if I can swing that. I really wanna like get my shit together and be more on top of my videos, and I'm really sick of editing and posting on Fridays, so hopefully I can shift to Thursdays. Let's see. But yeah, that's all for now. Bye.